Hi, I'm Jim. I'm a narcissist. I have narcissistic personality disorder. Making these videos as a first-hand account of what it's kind of like to have this disorder. Things that I've been through, things that my therapist and I work together on as far as my emotional wellness plan. So if you think you have this disorder and you're looking to gain more information, or you've been diagnosed and you're looking to feel connected to someone, I got to tell you, when I first realized I had this disorder and eventually went on to be diagnosed, I went looking for people that I felt like were me, that had similar characteristics and symptoms, and I just didn't find it. Only like 1.2% of the population is diagnosed with NPD. On top of that, there's multiple types of narcissistic personality disorder. So I just didn't really feel like I associated with anyone. It kind of sucked. You know what I mean? So maybe, you have some similarities. So maybe knowing that we share a couple of these things in common, will give you comfort. Because like I said, I looked for it and I wasn't able to find that. I don't know, maybe you think someone you know or care about has this disorder and you're looking to gain more information about it. Maybe you're a victim. If you're a victim, I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize to every victim I've ever hurt in any way. I accept everything I've ever done. I hold myself accountable. I apologize to them. And for the victims out there that have never gotten their apology, will never get their apology, I'm sorry. I'm sorry on behalf of the person that had this disorder that hurt you, abused you emotionally, physically, possibly sexually, possibly financially, any way that they abused you. I apologize. You're welcome to watch any of the other videos. Again, some of them have topics and some of them I just rant about, whatever. Today's gonna be freaky, man. I'm gonna lay it out there. All right. If you ever been to a Grateful Dead concert and took the brown acid, that's kind of what today's gonna be like. And I apologize if I trigger anybody, because I do understand this disorder has a high propensity for drug addiction. So I apologize talking about hallucinogenics. But today I did something jogging, and I just need to share it. And you're gonna get first dibs. I haven't talked to my therapist about this because it literally just happened today, and I saw him yesterday, and I'll see him again on Friday. So you get this fresh, and this is a big disclaimer. First, before you even think about doing anything like this, I am not a licensed anything, right? I have a bachelor's in psychology, but I'm not a licensed counselor, psychologist, therapist, psychiatrist, right? I'm an auditor, right? I play with numbers. That's what I do. So when I tell you that I don't know if this is going to be helpful to anybody else in any way, shape, or form, all I can tell you is I've been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. I have extreme survivor's guilt, and oh my God, this friggin' lit me up today. This is like a chart topper. I mean, what happened to me today and what I did really just lit the sky up. I mean, this is the Northern Lights, man. I mean, Katy Perry, baby, you're a firework. I mean, it. And hey, that's before I even started drinking the energy drink, right? So, I try to jog a couple times a week. And one of the things I've learned recently, and it's really cool, that if you do affirmations, right, you should try to incorporate some type of physical activity, because if your heart rate is increased, it changes how fast it'll process and how intensely your brain will absorb it, right? That's pretty cool. So if you can incorporate any type of like exercise with your affirmations, they're going to work better and more intensely and faster. That's awesome, right? So if I said to you, hey, do you want these things to work faster, better, and more intensely? You'd say yes. So do something athletic while you're doing the affirmations, right? I don't know, you hit the gym, do them on, you hit the treadmill or bicycle or whatever. You walk in the neighborhood, whatever, right? So one of the things that I started even before I learned that is I picture, and of course my survivor's guilt is from my brother and I were walking back from baseball practice when we were really young. He was hit by a car. So I have survivor's guilt in a couple of facets. First, that he blames me for not being able to prevent the accident, right? So there's that survivor's guilt. But then there's more, right? Survivor's guilt from my mom and anybody that knew or loved or cared about my brother, that they blame me for not being able to stop the accident as well. Now I know none of this is makes sense, right? My mom's never told me she blames me for the accident, but that didn't stop my mind from believing she does and creating this survivor's guilt. So one of the things that I do with my survivor's guilt when I'm jogging, I actually yell and scream at the driver, right? And I mean loud. And interesting enough, the more I do it, the less I cry while I'm doing it, right? I mean, so that tells me I'm getting a lot of emotion out. So when I learned about a week or two ago about the increasing your heart rate with the affirmations, I'm like, hell yeah, let me start. I mean, I actually, I jog, right? So let me do that while I jog too. So I started doing the affirmations, and it seemed a little, maybe weird. Just didn't, I don't know. Felt a little weird, you know what I mean? I didn't remember them all. I mean, I got a lot of affirmations. So I just kind of said a couple of them over and over again. And but today I was jogging and some weird stuff happened. So first, I jog with music, love it, right? And I left, and I got them all, man. I got bows, they suck. I'm sorry, the pair of bows that I have, they only work for like 10 to 20 minutes, and then they need to be recharged. So I leave those things at work. I have a pair of beats that wrap around the ear, and I don't know, whenever it rains or if they get wet or whatever, they don't charge correctly, and I got to scrape the things off, and they're a nightmare. And then I have like a pair of, I don't know, like $40 or $50 ones I bought on like Amazon, but you can't only put the left ear in. So if I'm at work and I have someone that, that's on my right, you know what I mean? I like to only you can only put the right one in. So I don't know why I'm giving you, all right, none of that. You didn't need any of that information. Long story short is I left all of these at work, right? Because when I work, I listen to music. So today I was remote and I jog on my lunch break, right? I take an extended lunch break. I jog, I shower, right? And I got ready to go, and I didn't have my Beats. I didn't have any of my earbuds. I didn't have nothing, man. I mean, I tell you what, I would have taken those bows that only last 15 minutes to have some kind of tunes. Nothing. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm still, I mean, stuff goes sideways. What do? You persevere, right? I mean, what did people do before music was created? I don't know. They probably didn't jog. But, if they could have, they would have. Because they were some bad mofos. All right. So, I'm out there jogging. No music. And I'm hitting some of the greatest hits. I'm going through the talking to the driver. Then I kick in with the affirmations. And it's kind of what happens next is very organic. I did not plan this. I did not think about this. I did not initiate this. It really just happened on its own organically. And so if you've watched any of my other videos, I refer to my NPD in a couple of ways. My therapist and I, we refer to it as my dark passenger, the same way Dexter does, right? What I like about that is Dexter, talks about trying to be in control of it, right? And that's what I'm trying to do with my disorder. I'm trying to control it, right? But I have kind of like a metaphor, and I talked about it in another video, where that thing sits on my shoulder like a parrot does, right? But it's like a demon parrot, and that thing screams in my ear, telling me to do ridiculous stuff and telling me terrible, god-awful things, right? So that's how I envision my disorder when it's running my life. It's sitting on my shoulder, screaming into my ear, right? When somebody sends me say I invite somebody, just hypothetical, hey, you want to go to dinner tonight? And they respond, give me a sec. That disorder's like, they fucking hate you, you're a fucking piece of shit. They never fucking want to go to fucking dinner with you, you motherfucker. Right? That's what that fucking thing's screaming at me. Well, guess what? That person said, give me a sec, because they needed to check their calendar to see if they had plans. Right? That automatic negative thought. It's that fucking disorder screaming in my fucking ear. Right? It's a fucking demon parrot. What I like about that visual is and I've talked about it in another video, we take that thing off of our shoulder and we put it under our foot, right? We're never getting rid of that disorder. That disorder will be a part of us for the rest of our lives. What we do is we control it. We don't let it control us. We want the future to be better than the past. How do we do that? We get it off of our shoulder and we put it underneath our foot, where we control the disorder and we control what we do and what we say and how we live our lives. And we get that motherfucker where it belongs, underneath the goddamn fucking foot. Right? And we step on it. Every step we take, we can stop that mother. Right? So that's my visual, and I love that visual. That demon parrot sitting on the shoulder. So while I'm running, and I tell you, it was really out of nowhere when I'm hitting my affirmations, you know what I mean? For those of you that remember, like Stuart Smalley, you're good enough. You're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you. So I have my affirmations, and and I'm saying them to myself, in my mind, and some of them I'm saying out loud. And out of nowhere, I kind of envision that demon parrot, that disorder sitting on my shoulder. And in my mind, I imagine myself grabbing it and just squeezing it tight, with a little ball, almost like a little piece of chewed up bubble gum. And I can see it. Right? And the disorder doesn't look like a parrot. I mean, it literally looks like a demon, you know what I mean? And, and I can see what it looks like, and I can see it getting smaller as I squeeze it out of that thing. And while I'm running, and I couldn't believe I had this kind of balance, but in my mind, I can see myself taking that little balled up narcissistic personality disorder demon and putting it underneath my foot while I'm running. And that's where it is. And every time I'm running, it's just sitting underneath my foot doing nothing, because I own that thing. I control it. And once wasn't enough. I envisioned myself like 20 times over and over again. In my mind, I see it, grabbing that thing right off my shoulder, squeezing it into that little bubblegum ball and putting it underneath my foot. Visioning it over and over and over and over. And again, it just kind of happened organically. It wasn't like I said to myself, this is what I'm going to do, right? And man, I started feeling good. Man, I started feeling real good. It felt good to see that thing go from my shoulder to fucking crushed into a little ball put underneath my foot, knowing I'm in control. I got that thing under my foot where we talk about where we want it, where we get to control our lives, right? It's always going to be with us, but we control how much of it we let control our lives. I know that sounds weird, right? We're in control of whether or not we let it run our lives. And when it's underneath our foot, we control just about everything. It can say whatever it wants, but we'll step on it harder, right? It's not in our ear screaming anymore. It doesn't have the control like it had before. All right. So if anybody else got survivor guilt like me, and if you've watched any of my other videos, I had one where what happened next, I'm going to need to kind of like segue. So we're going to take a break, right? I'll take a break and let me segue. I've had a really hard time lately not knowing what's at my core. So I didn't understand when I started this journey, with survivor's guilt and this narcissistic personality disorder, that I had to peel a bunch of stuff away, right? You build up all these layers from your insecurities and your guilt and your shame. And I talked about not knowing if I even have anything in the center. I mean, as long back as I can remember, it's just been bottled and covered up, and the disorders run everything. Well, now, I mean, I'm peeling away, with the survivor's guilt, I'm peeling some of that away. You know what I mean? I'm getting control of this disorder. You know what I mean? I'm not letting it make the decisions. I'm peeling more away. Well, what if I peel away and I try to get to the center of who I am, and it's fucking empty, right? I mean, I don't know what's in there. I don't know I've ever even seen that. I mean, I was just a little kid, my brother's accident. And that, you know what I mean? It's just been layers on top of layers ever since. And so that was something I was dealing really hard with. And I went to my therapist with it. And I tell you what, I almost knocked that dude on his butt, man. I mean, almost like, kind of like looking around, you're like, are you kind of saying like you don't know if you have a soul? You know what I mean? And I'm joking. But I mean, I don't think he was prepared for me to bring that question to him. You know what I mean? I can't, imagine that a whole lot of people question whether or not there's anything in the middle. If there's even like a human being, I mean, a soul, or I don't know what else to call it. But I felt like I like maybe you peel it away and there's just nothing there, right? And that's scary. I mean, for me, that's really, 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 really scary. You know what I mean? But here's where it gets weird. It gets really weird, and I'm gonna give you a peek behind my curtain. All right. So next, I imagine there is almost like, and again, this is organic. I didn't say, hey Jim, you should start thinking about this. It just really happened. So next, I start imagining there's kind of like an egg or a shell. Not even like that. It's so hard to describe. Yeah, something in some kind of like almost like shell shape that has like layers, right? And the layers are removable. And I imagine that those layers are being peeled. I'm peeling those layers back at the inside. And inside there's something. And it's a living thing. And I see it. And I'm not kidding. I start talking to it. And I tell it, it's okay to come out. You're safe. I'm going to protect you. I'm not going to let that disorder hurt you anymore. And it comes out. And the layers are all peeled away. And I can see it. And I'll share. And I have no idea what this says. But I mean, it looked like a rabbit, and it was vibrant with colors. And I'm not kidding, and I'm just talking over and over. You're okay. You're safe. It's okay to come out. I'm going to protect you. And starts getting larger. And it literally like grows slowly, like grows into my body, almost from the inside, like the way you would kind of like put on a coat, how your hand goes through the sleeve, right? And that's kind of like what it did. And and it wasn't the center anymore. Now it was a part of me. And I tell you, I again, like the disorder going to the bottom of the shoe, I envision this like over and over again, like 20 times. And there was just something so amazingly soothing, peaceful, healing about it. And again, I am not a licensed anything. And hey, for all I know, this is some kind of weird thing that's already been discovered in some way, shape, or form, and I just happened upon it. But it was so, for me, I felt like it was so therapeutic. I felt it was so releasing. I felt it was so spiritual. And yeah, I mean, and not in a religious way. I don't know how else to describe it, but just something not of this tangible, touching world. you know, whether that be like on an emotional, psychological level, you know what I mean? But it wasn't something tangible, it wasn't something touchable. It was something else, and it was impactful. Okay. So if anybody ever told me that I would be posting a video talking about a rabbit that lives at my inner core, that becomes part of me, yeah, full disclosure, I do not engage in any type of narcotics of any kind. I have not done drugs. I mean, I probably have not even smoked marijuana in 30 years. Yeah, probably 30. 25, 30. I mean, like, yeah. I don't drink alcohol. I haven't drank alcohol in probably about 3.5 years. I don't take any over-the-counter medication. I take a couple of, take like vitamin C. I take magnesium. I take a multivitamin. I take acidophilus for healthy digestional bacteria. And I do take a 1-hydroxy cut a day for just for energy. So yeah. If you think maybe it's a side effect of something else, just wanted to put that out there. And if I've never had an experience like this of any kind. I mean, you know, like I said, it's been an interesting journey, to say the least. And it was just so incredibly impactful and relaxing and soothing and just embracing. I had to share. And if you have survivor's guilt, you know, that causes your narcissistic personality disorder, you know, maybe you'll find it helpful. You know, I definitely got the impression it was somewhere along the lines, you know, very similar. Like I've done guided relaxation, you know, guided meditation, you know, in the past. It was definitely something along those lines. You know, even though like I didn't force it, and you know, it came organically. But that was very that's the best way I can kind of sum it up or describe it, if that makes sense. So there's that. Feel free to reach out with any questions, and I will do my best to answer. But understand, I might not have answers because I don't know a lot of the hows and whys, but I do know that, man, I just have a great feeling that the result from it is going to be amazing. Yeah. And before you pass judgment, which I can imagine would be easy to do, you know, just understand sometimes you got to be open to things. When you deal with survivor's guilt, spend a lot of time closed, and you know, sometimes you just got to be open to different perspectives, different ways, things that you might normally not think would be helpful. But